Welcome to another episode of the Trusted Advisor podcast and video series powered by the Retail Solutions Providers Association. Our goal on the pod is to accelerate the success of today's and tomorrow's leaders in the retail IT industry. I'm Jim Roddy, back with you again. Thank you so much for joining us for a very special episode where we're going to talk about the retail IT VAR of the future. So leading us in this conversation is going to be John Giles. He's the president and owner of Round 2 POS, their point of sale ISV. John's been active in the RSPA for many years, including being on stage at Retail Now and the RSPA Inspire Leadership Conference. Prior to launching Round 2, John was the creator of point of sale software Future POS, building his ISV into a top 5 restaurant software before selling the company in 2017. And so, John, welcome. And so for the folks who are watching on our YouTube channel, they can see you are not sitting at a desk. You are standing outside of your building, and that ties in with you have Round 2, which is your ISV, but you also have your own VAR reseller that you created primarily to test your software in the field. So tell us a little bit about that VAR organization and give us a tour, please.
Well, the thinking behind Butler Business Systems is, and we did this with Future too, we want to eat our own cooking. So we test everything here before it goes out into the field. And that's a philosophy I've had probably for 30 years. But we'll take you inside where there's less road noise. But this is our office. It's about 4,000 square feet. And we just finished a renovation to make it more purpose built for a VAR. So come on inside. As you can see above the door, we have our motto, make it better. That's what we come here to do every single day.
And for those who don't know, Butler, PA is in Western PA, just north of Pittsburgh.
So as you'd expect, we've got like 12 cubicles for all of our technicians and salespeople when they're not on the road. But this is something that's kind of an innovation that I came up with. This is our staging area. So unbeknownst to most people, I had a very brief and not very illustrious career at McDonald's when I was a teenager. But one thing I took away from that time was that I appreciated how much thought went into everything and how much they valued efficiency. And one of the things that I remembered was I would work the grill. I'm making burgers here and the buns are here, the condiments are here. So I literally never went more than that to do my job. So we applied that to the staging area concept. So we made them kind of horseshoe shaped. So the thinking is now I can work on this. There's room underneath for the boxes, but I can be on this computer, and this computer, and never have to get up and walk an inch. So it's all about these little operational efficiencies that we're trying to get. Because I always say McDonald's didn't do anything brilliant, but they did a lot of little things smart. So this is our staging area. I'm very proud of this. Moving on. One of the things that I wanted to put a lot of emphasis on here is training. So this is our training room. It's purpose built. It can convert to a conference room. These tables push together. I'm not going to try and be too intrusive here, but this is Coach Nick explaining how the statement analysis works. And then out here, and let those people alone. So, one of the things that I feel has really fallen off is training of employees in the VAR. I know NCR took a lot of pride in it, and we really want to get back to that level of training so that we're giving our people the best chance of success. I know for too many places, sales training involves, this guy knows how to do it, watch him do it and try and do what he does. We really want to put more time and effort into that to invest in the VAR model like nobody else is. We also have a coffee bar, because I like my people fully caffeinated. Back here's the warehouse. It's just a bunch of stacked up boxes, nothing too photogenic. And then this meeting room is affectionately called the fish bowl, because it's got a big window and everybody walking by looks at you like you're a fish in a fish bowl.
Sure.
So I'm sure I've probably created a lot of questions there.
Yeah, no, John, I appreciate that. And so I guess, can you talk about a little bit more about the why behind launching the company? Because there's one thing about testing your software, right, and putting it through, but you don't have to go to this extent in order to do it. Like, why did you go all the way in order to have this built out business and then really put the depth into it where it's not just scratching the surface?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really about investing in the VAR model. I mean, I have fully committed with round two to being a VAR centric product, and if I'm going to live and die by the VARs, then I should probably invest in their success. And starts right here. Let's see if we got it right. Let's eat our own cooking and see if it tastes good. I think you may have seen what we've invested in with our round two CRM. It's a product like nobody else has anything like. It's yeah, I'm super proud of what we put into it, but there was a lot of missteps with that too. We tried this, it didn't work, so we tried it a different way. Android threw us a curveball on the one piece of it, so we rewrote it to work a different way. We're always evolving it. We're always trying to improve what we do. And I know that saying that's the VAR of the future is a tall order, but we're really just looking to find every way we can streamline the VAR model because, quite frankly, the VAR is getting squeezed from every direction, and we just want to be the one thing that goes right in their life. So that's why we put such an emphasis on
Yeah.
giving them all the tools they need to succeed and grow.
And you and I talked before, remember a few weeks ago when we were planning this episode, you used the phrase of VAR for our kids' generation. So I guess talk a little bit more about that because people usually do it in the reverse, right? Like it's not your grandfather's VAR or something like that. But talk about how you built something and what is the VAR for the current kids' generation? Again, you've got a couple kids in their 20s, so it's applicable.
Well, I mean, it's evolving. I mean, everybody knows that we've gone from a break fix model where somebody would give you a check for 30 grand for a point of sale system. Now it's you're competing with free. Okay, well, all right, we got to compete with free, and that's just the playing field that we've been handed. How do we make the most of that? So the obvious thing is we find every operational efficiency we can. Like we've got to put minutes back in the day. We've got to make people more effective in their jobs, and that was a big piece of it. In the future, you look 20 years ago, how things were done on pen and paper, Excel spreadsheets. That's not going to compete with an Amazon or somebody that's big that comes in and puts money into it. So this is almost like a preemptive thing that like, hey, I'm going to invest in the VAR model before somebody comes and wrecks it permanently. So it's a self-preservation thing as well.
Got it. And I know you also shared with me this isn't something like you just remodeled the office, put a sign up, and go forward. This has been a project that's taken about half a decade. And like you said, it's always in the works. Can you get a little bit more detail behind that in terms of how you built it and some of the things that have gone into
Sure.
besides the physical structure in the past half decade?
Well, the physical changes that we made to this building came last. In the beginning, it was round two and Butler Biz in this same office, kind of working together as a team. And I think it was funny when we split offices, we moved round two to Cranberry so they'd have more space and an easier time recruiting talent. But some of them were like, well, wait, Gavin's not my coworker. We're not going to be like they thought they were all part of the same company. It's like, no, not really. The intention was that you would feel Butler Business Systems pain firsthand. You would see their challenges firsthand. So you don't have that ivory tower mentality that oh, it's good enough, they can fix it next week, I'll get to it when I do. You feel their pain, you know what a VAR is going through because you've been in the trenches with them. So the first step of that was the CRM, and we built lots and lots and lots of functionality into the CRM around things like the payment processing stuff. It's not an option for a VAR not to be in the payment processing piece now. It's just suicide. I mean, that's the only place you can make money. So we started with that, and we built on things like a payroll integration, so that my sales commissions, my technicians' mileage and on call allowance, it can all be sent through Gusto to the payroll company, and I don't have to have an accountant sitting with an Excel spreadsheet every pay period to do this. So we built the software, and obviously we built the point of sale once we had our feet under us with the CRM. But this office remodel is really kind of just a culmination of all of that. Like, okay, everybody's willing to, go there to where they need to be and do what they need to do. Round two is down in Cranberry writing the software all day, every day. But Butler Business Systems is here selling it, installing it, and servicing it every day. And they still have a very close relationship. So, if one guy's pain in Butler is felt in Cranberry, and they take good care of each other. But this has been an evolutionary process to get it to where it's at. And it's never going to stop evolving. I have plans for how we want to reorganize the warehouse and make sure that inventory is rotated correctly and we have the right levels of inventory. Down the road, we've got other things we've got to get done, and then obviously plenty of point of sale bells and whistles will happen along the way too. But the VAR model I think we need to just, give it the attention it deserves, because it's been so haphazard in the past. I think to say the VAR of the future is to say a far more organized VAR with much better tools to manage their business and much better insights into their business.
Got it. And so, folks who don't know Western Pennsylvania, again, I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, so that's 2 hours north of Pittsburgh. Butler is how far north of Pittsburgh, the city? Is it
It's
45
about an
minutes,
hour.
an hour? An
Yeah,
hour?
we're about an
Okay.
hour.
And then Cranberry is essentially considered suburban Pittsburgh,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Like, and
it's
so,
about halfway in between. So
yeah.
one of the problems we had for 20 years in Butler is getting developers to drive to Butler. Most of them are based in Pittsburgh. It's an hour drive. Anybody that's ever done an hour commute to and from work knows it just sucks the life out of you, especially in Western Pennsylvania, where it's, in the winter,
When you
it's
get,
dark
yeah,
when you
some
get up,
snow
it's dark
squalls
when you
coming,
get
yeah.
home. Yeah. So we just moved it to Cranberry to split the difference. So now it's a half an hour drive if you're coming from Pittsburgh, and you know the area. Of course, we moved to Cranberry, and the first programmer we hire is in Grove City.
Okay. All right. So they
Like,
have
all right, well, so much for that. But yeah,
yeah, they almost have an hour drive then, or 45 minutes or something in order to get to
right.
Cranberry. So go
Yeah,
figure.
he was a
Wow.
good sport about it. But yeah,
Good. I have several questions how you find a developer in Grove City. Grove City is not big at all outside of the shopping outlet, but and you also have in there a hardware stress lab, and that's where we shot when you and I did the podcast last year. I guess can you talk about the importance of that from a VAR perspective, from an ISV perspective, and what has gone into that stress lab for folks who don't know about it?
sure. Well, I guess the whole genesis of it was during COVID, and the fact that we went Linux. We weren't sure what the hardware situation was going to look like after COVID, and we needed to know that our Linux solution would run on all the popular hardware platforms. So we had bought one of every all-in-one that's out there for compatibility testing. But the thinking was, okay, we're going to have all these all-in-ones laying around. Let's hook them all up and beat the crap out of our point of sale software. Let's see how much we can stress it. And knock on wood, no crashes, no freezes, ringing sales for 24 hours straight. I don't think there's too many products can do that. And the last stress lab, I'm sure you're probably aware, but we rang over 1 million sales in one
Hmm.
day. No
Hmm.
crashes, no freezes. It just works. So, again, eating my own cooking. I'm testing it. I'm making sure that I'm not having a customer say, hey, my customer with 10 terminals says it's crashing all the time. Oh, well, that's because we never did one that big. So I mean, we really have put a lot of emphasis on testing what we're putting out there, making sure that the product we put out there is a quality product.
It seems like it's something that was really evident here is the depth that you're, putting together, and this ties in with the software and the thing that you've done for it is you want to provide more than just POS for a merchant to run their business. So, can you talk about the complementary? I think you call it a tool belt that you've developed to help a VAR run their own company and also sell value versus just competing on price through that tool belt that you've worked into your software.
Sure. Well, I mean, as far as the VAR is concerned, we tried to tackle a lot of the challenges that I saw VARs facing in the future POS days, and the biggest one was around payment processing. It was I always say it's an intentionally confusing industry. They want you to get so confused you say, I don't know, that's what I'm getting paid, and walk away and go worry about something else. And that was a horrible approach. And I saw a lot of my future POS resellers, I mean, really get victimized, get shortchanged in ridiculous ways. So one of the very first things we said is, we're going to make sure that we get paid fairly first, and then we're going to give full transparency to the VARs so they know they get paid fairly. That was, I think, one of the existential threats to the VAR community is, yeah, you're just going to be my payments guy, and sure, I'll give you what I tell you is fair. So we built on that, and then we looked at beyond that, what are the other challenges that a VAR is going to face? Making sure that their salesmen get out of bed in the morning. That's a primary one, because if your salesman's not selling, that's kind of the lifeblood of the company. And I, I had one reseller that he was always trying to get a salesman, and the story ended the same every time. I would call him up, I got a salesman. He's going to go out and kick a bunch of butt, and we're gonna light up a lot of sales this year. Okay, cool, man. I'd call back in 3 months. Hey, how's that new salesman going for you? I had to fire him. He wasn't working. And it's like, well, you've done this how many times now? But
Right.
you don't have any metrics to know if he's getting out of bed and going to work in the morning. The CRM gives you that. You get an hour by hour graph of how many leads they've touched. And I can tell you, if they're working, they're touching leads because you've got to update your notes. So it gives us transparency on that side of it. Same with the service end of it. I know how many service tickets are open. I know how long they've been open. Any major problems they're having, all pending installs. So it's really, like I said, like Batman's tool belt. It's all these little widgets that help you run a VAR more efficiently because you know my good friend Alan Heyman, he had a quote like probably 20 years ago, and he said for a 1 and 2 man VAR to grow into a big successful business, so many things have to go right that it'll probably never happen. And I like to joke that I spent like 15 years trying to prove him wrong, and I didn't. So it's always stuck with me. Like, okay, well, I guess with the current set of challenges that they have, running a business, managing people, all these things, it is a lot. It is a lot to expect that to just all end in success without some help. So when we sold Future, I had a big war chest to go really pure R&D. I used to joke with the developers like, you have no idea how blessed you are that we have no customers because we could just work on stuff all day, and
Right.
then phone doesn't ring, we don't get interrupted. And for several years, that's what we did. We had like a skeleton crew of sales here. We couldn't go to restaurants because I had a 5-year non-compete, but we were just selling terminal deals because we created an onboarding process through the CRM that incorporated a bunch of different APIs, and we had to test them all. And every so often, oh, this wasn't filled out, so First Data kicked it back. Oh, okay, well, we'll have to deal with that. And we just like pounded the pavement and took every crappy deal we could just to run more traffic through the
Right.
CRM and make sure that it was working. So, I mean, there was just a whole lot of legwork done behind the scenes that most people would never appreciate. And yeah, so like when we turned the corner to point of sale, everybody said, "Wait, we're gonna have computers." It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't build this to sell terminal deals, guys. We really need to go back to where we were. But it was a great evolution, but it gave us a chance and the time to test things along the way, to make sure things worked along the way, and to create this set of tools for VARs to grow their businesses because that's what I'm invested in. And I know when we came up with the VAR of the Future title, there's probably a lot of larger VARs out there, many of whom I've worked with, that are like, well, that's nothing special. Yeah, and maybe to you it's not, but to a VAR that's a couple guys and maybe they want to hire a salesman and maybe they want to grow. Man, I am here to tell you everything I've done wrong and why we do it the way we do it because there's always a story behind why we're doing it that way. I want to help these guys that want to grow their business and kind of live the American dream. I want to give them the tools that they need to succeed because at the end of the day, their success is my success. So my investment in them is an investment in my own success in the long run.
Yeah, people, it seems like on paper, if you have a 2 or 3 person company and then it becomes a 6 or 7 person company, you think, well, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's only 3 or 4 more people. But the way that you run that kind of operation and manage it is exponentially different, right? It's not just that you can talk to 1 or 2 people or you can see what they're doing with your own eyes. I'm curious, how do you because I can imagine we have some folks listening to this that are more resistant to change than you are, John, right? Like you are definitely open to try, test, measure, adapt, and keep doing that over and over and over. What would you say to a VAR who's like, I think I'm okay where I am, right? Is VAR the future thing? I think I could keep doing what I'm doing for another 15 or 20 years. What would be your
Yeah.
pitch to them to say, yeah, like you can't be on the same track that you've been, even if you've been on that track for 15 or 20 years, right? What would you say to somebody who needs to adapt to be, VAR of the future in your from your perspective?
Well, I mean, I think that everybody's seen that the break fix model has gone away. It's SaaS and HaaS, so you've got to adapt your business for that. Nobody's going to stroke you that $30,000 check anymore. And I would say to the VAR that thinks they can keep doing it the way they have been doing it for 15 more years, you might have 3 to 5.
Okay.
Because what we're building, I mean, we're going to roll it out, and we're going to roll it out nationwide. And if your ISV is not giving you these sorts of tools, well, then you're going to be at a competitive disadvantage when we come to your town. So we would love to work with you, but we'll work with the other guy too. So
Sure.
yeah, we're signing up VARs that want to succeed and want to grow their business, and it is really about that alignment that you want to grow your business, you want to be bigger than you are today. A lot of a lot of VARs, and this is a saying that I think came from Michael Gerber, working in your business instead of on your business. And
Yes.
there's a lot of VARs stuck in that rut. It's like they want to come in and they want to change things and they want to do things, but oh crap, the phone blows up, and managing people is that same challenge because, like you said, I've got 3 people. We all know our jobs. We're all going about our jobs. We hire 3 more. Well, they don't know their jobs, and
Hmm.
and really the only thing they can do is kind of follow you and mimic what you do. We wanted to create a set of tools, obviously for training that helps to streamline that, but also give you tools to manage those people so you can work on your business instead of in your business, so that we can automate some of the tasks that are manual time sucks now. That we can make that so, oh, press approve payroll, you're done. So we really want to give these guys what they need to be here in 15 years instead of just 3 to 5.
Got it. And they need to streamline those back end operations in order to do it, right? Like you said, you can't be so much busy, to quote Michael Gerber, busy, 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 doing it, doing it, doing it. You might
Yep.
think you're building your business, but actually things are moving faster on the outside. So when we talked, so again, I alluded to the last episode we recorded is episode 123. We talked about why you came back to the industry when you and your wife Kelly, you could have sailed into the sunset after you sold Future. Can you talk in a little bit broader terms why you're betting again on the channel, even though, like you said, it is an uphill climb for many of these small businesses, like it is a huge challenge. And so you've said that you think VARs actually can have the upper hand against what we call the RSPA, the VC-backed 800 number guys who don't have a channel. Like, why are you betting on the channel? Why do you think they actually have an advantage versus those 800 number guys?
Well, I mean, it's the local presence, and I've always said that's what makes the VAR model viable. People want to buy from people; they don't want to buy from a website. And when it breaks, they want to know that people are going to come fix it, not a call center, outside the country, and we'll mail you a new one on Monday. Those people at the call center, they get to go home at the end of their shift. They don't really care if your problem's resolved. So it's that disconnect that I think people are starting to appreciate it. We're out pounding the pavement in Pittsburgh, just talking to people, having conversations, and a lot of them are saying that they don't like the PE stuff, that they have had a lousy experience, that they've been overcharged, and they feel like they were sold a bunch of stuff they didn't even need because the person selling it to them is just trying to sell them every single product that they have to offer,
Right.
rather than finding solutions for them. So I think that the VAR, the lifeblood of being a VAR is you are the trusted advisor. You can explain the pros and cons of whatever it is, restaurant technology, server banking versus cashier banking. I mean, you're there to be their liaison to get them the technology they need and set their system up so that they can grow their business. So it's all kind of paid forward. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that the local VAR's big thing is they're local. I'm going to come eat in your restaurant. I'm going to bring my family here. And if it breaks, I'm going to get in my car and drive there on a Friday night. And like I said, we've had a lot of success locally with people that are just, I don't want to throw out names and get cease and desists, but some of the people that you thought were the boogeyman that were just this private equity juggernaut, and when you peel back, a couple of layers of that onion, it's not as pretty as they would like everybody to believe. And a lot of people are ready to go back to how it used to be. And but it's got to be next generation. We're not going back to 1990. Nobody's writing that big check. So how do we adapt to that SaaS and
Yeah.
HaaS model? And it's all about the operational efficiencies. Now that you're worrying about every minute, every dime. All right, well then let's focus on how we don't squander opportunities, squander money. How we make everybody's day more efficient. How we give you better visibility into your business so that you know what's going on in your business and you can work on addressing the things that need your attention versus, oh, the phone rang. So yeah, I think that the VAR model has a ton of potential, but it's got to evolve. We can't be dinosaurs. We can't be polyester tied guys from 1970. Like we've got to, okay,
Sure.
what's technology's changing around us. How do we use that technology to augment our daily work? And that's what we're doing here. We've invested literally millions in it, and we're not trying to show anybody up. We're just trying to figure things out here. And any VAR that sells round two, is welcome to come see everything. We're an open book. How can we make your business better? Well, this is what we did. Here's what we found when we did this. Here's what we found when we did that. We really just want to invest in the VAR community and grow our VARs to as big and successful businesses as possible, like we did in the future days.
Mm-hmm.
The landscape's a little bit different, but a lot of people retired very rich in the future days, and I'm looking to do it again.
Good, good. And I want to get your take before we do a quick commercial break. Like, there's a thing about VARs being local, but then there's also the way Jeff Riley, who just was the RSPA board chair. I don't know if you heard him during the general session at Retail Now, but he described our industry, really the RSPA community, as an independent mesh network of entrepreneurs. And he was saying if you're a restaurant or a retailer or a grocer or anybody under that umbrella from a merchant standpoint, do you want to rely on just one company to have all the solutions for you? Or are you going to get the more tailored solution, the solution that moves and adapts better for the future, moves more like a speedboat than it does a big cruise ship? You're going to get that from the independent mesh network of entrepreneurs. And that's what he was saying is the VAR can say, hey, Mr. or Miss Merchant, I am your connection to that network, and I will go and put together whatever bundle or solution, whatever it is, to meet your exact needs. Where the 800 number guys basically say, well, here's what we got. We can, operate within whatever our company does, but we don't have that wide variety. Is that something that you see, John, as another advantage beyond just local, but also I can put together a way more tailored solution to fit your needs, the customization of that? What is your take on the independent mesh network of entrepreneurs being the VAR channel community?
Well, I mean, it's I've said for a while that I'm not ever going to get into the hardware business because the hardware ecosystem is just fine the way it is. If I don't like partner tech, I can go to Touch Dynamics, I can go to CRS, I can go to Hansys, wherever I'm getting taken care of, wherever I'm getting the products that my customers are happy with, I can go. So we're the software end. We do the software. But we also kind of stay in our lane. We don't say, you've got to buy my hardware that I just got on a container ship from China, and I hope that it works. So I feel like that it allows them to create a best of breed solution for their customers, and we're just one component of that. And I'm not trying to break it by saying, oh, there's a couple of dollars to be made here. Here, buy my cheap all-in-one that I just got off the boat from China. No, you can get your hardware where you're comfortable getting your hardware, and like you said, create that best of breed solution for your customer. And what we're really just trying to do here is like supercharge the mesh network part of it. We want to make those VARs the people that you seek out to get your system from, rather than the guy that pulls your door handle. We want to make them that, like I said, trusted advisor
Yeah.
that is going to tell you, well, here's the pros and cons of this. This one's cheaper. This one's better made. Whatever the case may be. We want to just be one component in their success, but we want to definitely take good care of our
Yeah.
end of the equation.
Yeah, at the VAR is somebody knows them as local, and they also know them as they can actually provide a better solution, right? They're more competent and capable than somebody else. So, okay, let's pause here to let our listeners and viewers know about the Retail Solution Providers Association. RSPA is North America's largest community of retail technology VARs, software providers, vendors, and distributors. To accelerate your success through an RSPA membership, email membership@gorspa.org. Also, we want to say thanks to these companies who support the RSPA community and make this podcast and video series possible. Our platinum sponsors, Blue Star. Our gold sponsors are CoCard, Epson, Heartland, and ScanSource. And then finally, save the date for Inspire 2026, the Retail IT Channel's premier leadership conference. RSPA Inspire is set for February 1st through 4th on the island of Kauai, Hawaii. For more information, visit gorspa.org/inspire so you can experience networking nirvana. John and I have both experienced networking nirvana at Inspire many, many times. It was funny. You, Kelly, and I would meet more often in Hawaii or St. Thomas or Puerto Rico than we would in Western Pennsylvania.
Right.
But I'm glad our paths could cross at some point there. So, all right. So, last few questions for you. Talk about the future business model that you see for VARs and ISVs. And we've touched on that a little bit, but let's talk about the software providers first, because the way that ISVs make money has changed, right? Licenses versus SaaS, over the years. How do you see the ISV business model changing in the near term and long term future? What's your perspective?
I mean, I I hate to harp on the payments thing, but honestly, that's the piece. Like, when I left the industry and came back, I was surprised at how many people are still kind of like, oh, I got a guy down the street that does it. You really need to understand this business, at least at a rudimentary level, because that's where you're making your money. One of the struggles we had with some of the new VARs is, oh, I just want to, it's a competitive landscape and I've got to get my rate as low as I can, or I won't win the deal. Well, at some point you got to sell on yourself and your technology. And you have people that are going to give them a two terminal system, but I got to be competitive on the rate. Well, you're not making money on any of the other stuff. So you really need to focus on, like, is this enough to justify having this person as a customer? If you sign them up and your residual is $100 a month, you're probably better off without that customer. And that has been probably the biggest obstacle, is getting these people to want to engage in the pricing and how all the tricks work out there. Now we have an awesome staff for that. Nick Kalich here is a payments expert, and he's able to break it down and explain, okay, here's where they're getting hit now. Yeah, but I mean, educating themselves on that piece is like existential. You're not going to be
Yeah.
around because there's no other place to make money at this point. So you need to take that piece serious and get educated on it. And we have really done a whole lot of work to chew that up for you and make it something that is understandable, that you can explain to your customer. We actually give you a whole presentation piece to say, here's what you're paying now and here's what we're going to charge you. And you can go through all the fees and how you got to that, but you can show them the savings that you're going to give them right then. And it's a pretty compelling sales pitch. Yeah, but you can't give away everything. And some bars still want to do that. It's like, this is the one place you kind of got to dig your heels in. If you can't make money on the payments, you're not going to make money, period. The break fix model will eat you alive. When you're HAS and SAS and you're not getting a service contract anymore, you got to focus on the one place that you can still make your money, and that's the payments piece. And I think that those have given that a very bad reputation. And one of my goals is to bring some transparency and integrity to that side of it. But yeah, if there's any advice I could give to a VAR out there, don't keep your head in the sand on the payment stuff. It's intentionally confusing, but we can break it down for you and make it make a little more sense.
Yeah, and can you talk about how you approach payments from an ISV perspective? Because if memory serves me right, well, first, we just recently had a niche and startup ISV community meeting, and we had some folks on there who were very much, I'm an ISV and I'm payments agnostic, right? Like whatever you want to do as a reseller, whoever you want to bring it. But my understanding is, John, you are not payments agnostic. Is that correct?
No, that is
Yeah.
100% correct.
Yes.
I know that there are people out there that feel that that's some noble thing that they're doing, and it's a fool's errand. The payments piece is so central to this that for you not to take it serious on the behalf of your VARs is, I mean, corporate malfeasance. I've seen some people beating their chest, and it's like, I'll talk to them offline and say, that's cool that you made, how many hundreds or how many thousands of dollars this month selling your software, one license at a time. Okay, well, where are you going to get the money to come up with your new version? You're selling a 20-year-old product. You're selling a database that was obsolete in the 90s. Where are you going to get the money to invest in the next generation of your software so that your VARs have something to sell in 10 years? Because you won't be able to sell Windows POS from the 1990s in another 10 years. And none of them have an answer to that.
Yeah.
And
So how do you do it? Because, we were talking about the independent mesh network of entrepreneurs. One thing that I know from being the CEO of a company that's of a nonprofit that serves a bunch of entrepreneurs, they want to do things their way, right? You can't do too much. Here's exactly how you're going to behave, right? Because the entrepreneur is going to be like, hey, I'm, steering my own ship here. So when a VAR comes to you, I guess, what do you say to them if they say, hey, I want to bring all these different processors, but you're saying, no, this is the path that we're going to go down from a payments standpoint? How does that conversation go? What do you show them? What do you share with them? I'm curious to get into the nuts and bolts of the payments on the
sure.
back end.
I mean, I think just to I guess pull it all together. Look, a VAR could go out and he could broker his own payments deal with the ISO down the road, as some of these payments agnostic POSs would have them do. I would put the question back: how many of those VARs do you think are qualified to negotiate that deal? 10%? Maybe on a good day. So the other 90% are getting screwed. And they are basically subsidizing the local ISO's vacation home and a boat and whatever the heck else. And where does that come back to? It doesn't. If you work with us, we can negotiate that deal. We've negotiated a very hard-nosed deal, and we have a complete audit of that deal every month. We go through it, make sure the numbers are right, and every VAR gets paid fairly. But that money that would have gone to boats and vacation homes for an ISO now goes right into the product that you sell every day. It's that money goes right back into the product. So it's, in my mind, it's foolish to do it any other way. Do we want to pay some third party that is going to stick it to your dealer? And I mean, we had one that we came across recently. I won't name names, but he had a payments guy. He had his payments guy from down the way, and we pulled apart one of his deals, and I think he was making $100 a month on it, and his payments guy was making $1,700 a month on it. Yeah,
Wow.
that's the kind of stuff you see when you're payments agnostic and you don't keep an eye on things. It's letting the inmates run the asylum, and your VARs are going to get shortchanged, and you can't sell software at $300, $500 a license for the rest of the time. I don't see where they think there's a future in that, and I don't see what they think is noble about letting 90% of their resellers get the short end of the stick.
Got it. No, thanks for sharing your opinion on that. And that's the interesting thing about the RSP community, right? We can have folks say, "Hey, here's the way I think to go to business," and others say, "Here's how I think the way to go to business." And we all roll up our sleeves, and everybody can pick and choose what works for them. So, last couple questions, John. So, we were talking about the ISV business model. How do you see the VAR business model changing in the future? You've talked about how it's very much dependent on payments. Where do you see the VAR business model, 3 to 5 years or longer beyond that? How's that business model going to continue to change?
Well, I think that obviously the payments landscape will change over time. People's buying habits change. Obviously, you have e-com versus brick and mortar. I think where the VAR has value, and we will continue to carve out value for them, is as things change, as things evolve. We're the gatekeeper. So I'm not going to do something like a payments agnostic guy would do, where I say, "Oh, hey, everybody can use Venmo now, and it's free." Well, okay, well, you just took the air out of your VAR's balloon. So how does that make sense? So like if we were to do Venmo, say, there'd be a convenience fee for it, and we would split that with the VAR. We are going to be that gatekeeper, because once you have that brick and mortar relationship, now you can control who can come and who can't. And to be just haphazardly going about this, like, "Oh, look, I added a fifth way to avoid an item." Like, we're focusing on what is going to keep that VAR relevant. And if the being the point of sale, the point of commerce is key to your survival, then we're going to guard it with our life. And I mean, it could be Venmo, could be Bitcoin, could be whatever. But we're going to make sure that nobody gets it. We don't get a fox in the henhouse that totally destroys that VAR's revenue stream overnight. And as we see opportunities to monetize, we will obviously pursue those, but we will share them with the VAR. He's the guy that's out on the street servicing it, fixing it, answering questions. He gets a cut of that too. But I often say, we're not a point of sale company. We are a technology company that facilitates payments. So we facilitate commerce. We allow people to buy things, and by being at that point that where the money changes hands, knowing that that's where we make our money, then we have to safeguard that and make sure we don't get a fox in the henhouse, but also safeguard the revenue streams for our VARs for years to come. And I don't think a payments agnostic guy, that's just not in his lane. He's like, you can work with your buddies. Well, what if your buddies run you bankrupt? So we're kind of being that, not just a trusted advisor, but a guardian of our VARs, and making sure that they don't get shorted by anybody.
Yeah, so it sounds like your guidance is the good news is for VARs, there's a ton of options and technology options, services options, technology opportunities for them, but they've got to make sure that they don't just dive into them head first without doing the old, measure twice, cut once kind of thing. Because I can say I've fielded the most consistent call that I've fielded over the years is a VAR coming to me and saying, I'm being jerked around. I'd like the RSP to take a stand against this vendor. And then we're able to say to them, like, what does it say in the contract? Well, it says in the contract, right, that they can do this, but I don't like that they're doing this. It's not a good business practice. And we're like, yeah, like the RSP, again, we're an independent nonprofit, so we don't, take sides, but also that's a contract thing, right? And so it's like beware up front when you're signing that contract, right? And that's kind of what it sounds like you're saying. A lot of opportunities, and make sure you just don't go in full bore. Make sure you're certain that it's going to be something that benefits you financially and isn't just a shiny new tool. If I'm understanding what you're saying, John.
Yeah, and I mean, like, to those contracts, don't sign them without a lawyer looking at them, things like that. But and I know you guys had Bob Goldberg for many years. That was a great resource. And I'm drawing a blank on who the new girl is.
Jill Miller, yeah, and Jill
Yes,
Miller
yeah.
has payments specialty. She won't review. Well, I mean, somebody could pay her to review contracts, but that is her big guideline for folks: is make sure you read all those details and get a. If there's anything that you're not sure of, yeah, make sure an attorney looks at it. I know it's expensive to get an attorney. Oftentimes you're like, I'm not going to pay him that much per hour. But John, you've seen the other end of it where people are like, man, I wish I'd have spent that $500 or $1,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've been that guy in my career. Yeah, that discount or no legal counsel will always cost you more.
Yes, I would say the things you don't want to use coupons for, one is legal advice, another one is surgery. You don't want to be like, why'd you choose that surgeon? She was or he was the cheapest, right?
Yeah.
You're like, so you're going to pay for that in the long run. So, all right. So we've only got a couple minutes left and we've covered a lot. I'm curious, John, what would be your final advice for our audience related to just leadership in general? Let's say like you have a 3-minute ride share with a small business leader and they say to you, what's your advice for adapting and staying relevant in the future?
I mean, I think you just always have to have an eye for what's coming next. I mean, I remember Jack Welch saying, like, your best business leaders can almost see around the corner. And I think that's overstating the fact that they're always looking around the corner. What's coming next? What innovation is coming that I don't want to miss out on? And I think that, obviously we're one of those. So I'm hoping people will look me up after this because we're innovating like nobody else every day, and we're fully invested in the VAR model like nobody else. There's a lot of Me Too POS, like, hey, here's our shiny POS, go sell it. We're fully invested in your success. Yes, we've got a rock solid point of sale, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. We are looking for that technology that the VAR will need to be successful in 10 years, 20 years, and a different business leader said when a better solution comes out, we'll be the ones developing it. That's the kind of the technology leadership we want to be. We really want to take, and I always go back to NCR and Micros. I want to take what NCR and Micros did when they became great and learn from the cautionary tales of what happened after that. So, we obviously NCR was big on training. Micros was very big on organization and putting together quality, durable products. So we really want to just take that, build on that, and then look at what's coming next and find how we can pull new innovations in, things like AI, potentially cryptocurrency, stuff like that. So we've got our eye to the future for that. And as a VAR, I think you've got to do the same thing, but also have a partner that has an eye for the future and isn't just riding it out to retirement.
Yeah, and I like how you said it. In order to see around the corner, you actually have to be looking around the corner, right? You've got to put your eyes in that direction. And I framed up that final question about 3 minutes in a ride share. You and I were in a vehicle together at one point. I don't know if you remember the first time I visited your office down there in Butler. Hopped into your pickup and we're going down. I'm trying to think, was it Route 19 or something? You just took a right into some land that you had bought there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see, like, from a Western Pennsylvania standpoint, I'm glad to see you investing in Western Pennsylvania. Too many people, maybe this is talking to myself because I now live in Raleigh, North Carolina, but a lot of companies picked up and moved out as opposed to investing in there. So I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate you providing guidance to VARs and everybody in our industry, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for the tour. So, well, that does it for this episode of The Trusted Advisor. If you enjoyed our discussion, be sure to subscribe to the RSP YouTube channel and the Trusted Advisor podcast so you never miss an episode. Before we go, big thanks again to John Giles for sharing his wisdom with us today. Thanks also to RSP Marketing Director Chris Arnold for his production work, Joseph McDade for our music, and last but not least, thanks so much to you for listening. Our goal at the RSP is to accelerate the success of our members in the retail technology ecosystem by providing knowledge and connections. For more information, please visit our website at gorspa.org. Thanks for listening and goodbye, everybody.